Good morning or good afternoon, wherever this finds you. Welcome to the 73rd Emerging Growth Conference and day one of our two-day super virtual investor conference. I'm Anna Berry. Just a few notes. Today we're running until about 4 p.m. Eastern time. And when we switch to the next company, you'll see a black screen for a moment. Don't go anywhere. That's just us moving over to the next presenter. Obviously, if you experience downtime for more than a minute or two, refresh your browser. Everything usually works properly once you do that. Because our platform does work best on Google Chrome. If you're watching from an Apple device, you have to hit the play button to start the session. Now, all of our conferences, they're uploaded to the Emerging Growth Conference YouTube channel. So please subscribe, youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. Now, today, during each company's presentation, you can submit questions through the webcast module, and we will attempt to address as many of these at the end of the presentation. Let's jump right in. Happy to bring on BlockchainK2 Corp, trades on the OTCQB under the symbol BIDCF, and on the TSXV under the symbol BITK. And it's working to build a bridge from the blockchain sector to traditional capital markets and to represent one of the few pure play ways for stock market equity investors to get exposure to the cryptocurrency market via investment in mining and infrastructure and proprietary SaaS blockchain solutions with leading industry partners. Happy to welcome Scott Brooks, the CEO of RealBlocks. Welcome to the conference today, Scott.
Hey, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Anna, for the kind introduction here, and really happy to be on board to give you a quick tour of BlockchainK2 and RealBlocks, the company I serve as CEO for, and then I also serve on the board of directors at BlockchainK2. I came to RealBlocks 5 years ago after a 30-year career in asset management, where I've had the great pleasure to run business units across a number of large asset management firms, including Oppenheimer Funds, JP Morgan Asset Management, Deutsche Asset Management, which is now DWS, SCI Investments, and then a small real estate boutique down in Dallas, Texas. So really happy to be here. I rejoined the company just 3 months ago after, again, a 5-year career and a brief 18-month hiatus. But back in February of this year, BlockchainK2 bought RealBlocks and is now the entire owner of RealBlocks. So we're really happy to have such a solid partner standing behind us here. So with that, let me share a little bit more about BlockchainK2. As you can see here, www.blockchaink2.com. We trade on both Toronto and Frankfurt exchanges. And very simply, we are a holding company investing in blockchain technology companies that have the power to reshape industries. And the one we're going to be talking to today is specifically the alternative investment business, which is growing rapidly, and we'll show more in a second here. But again, the firm is looking to find companies that are applying blockchain technology where it has the greatest impact. And again, I think, as you'll see, we think no better place than the alternative investment business. So a little bit for those of you that aren't familiar with the alternative investment industry, these are companies like Blackstone, Apollo, KKR, large real estate firms like CBRE, LaSalle Investment Management, DWS, and others. But as you can see in the slide here, this is a very large addressable market for RealBlocks, where today there's over $14 trillion in assets under management, where the business itself is taking in over $1 trillion a year. So, a CAGR of over almost 10% per year. And a very large addressable market. So we're really excited about what we're doing at RealBlocks to digitize this marketplace. To go a little bit deeper, we really think the market conditions are perfect, where what we're seeing is that it's a growing business, But the problem is that the business itself has always been paper-based, does not have the automation in place of many other segments of the securities market. Obviously, the consumerization of IT is an omnipresent piece of the puzzle here, but hasn't really come to the alternative investment marketplace. And obviously, the tech itself, whether it be cutting-edge traditional tech and or blockchain technology, really allows you to have scalable solutions to address the market you can see on the right side of the slide here, whether it be real estate funds, private equity funds, private credit, hedge funds, natural resources, and infrastructure. Again, a very, very broad market that we can address. In terms of the pain points, to go a little bit deeper, again, the problems here is it is highly complex in terms of market structure, where you've got a lot of different service providers all, working, trying to work together, to deliver a solution, but don't have a way to do it. So what we define as limited connectivity, manual data processing, and very high distribution fees. Bring that all together, creates a lot of cost, a lot of inefficiency, which requires a lot of people, most importantly. So as you can see here, our solution really aims to fix that, where we think of ourselves as providing at RealBlocks a digital, global, and liquid solution for the marketplace. In terms of the value prop, we can take the time for global distribution from as much as 2 years down to 1 month. We can reduce costs from sometimes as much as $2 million to get off the ground to as little as $100,000, and improving liquidity in what are historically very illiquid funds and assets from 5% to as much as 100%. Now, how do we do this? What we do at RealBlocks is integrate all of these service providers into custom and off-the-shelf solutions in our SaaS solutions, with all of the pieces of the puzzle to make it all work. So whether it's blockchain and tokenization providers and ATSs, custodians and transfer agents with some very notable names such as UMB and SS&C, just to name a few. Client reporting groups like Adapar, as well as compliance, which is so hypercritical in the marketplace today, with groups like Vistra and Crestbridge and North Capital Private Securities. We also have legal access, as well as connectivity to CRM systems such as HubSpot, Dynamo, and Salesforce, just to name a few. Within RealBlocks, we also have a FINRA licensed broker-dealer that is accessible to our clients, as well as an SEC exempt reporting advisor with RealBlocks Investment Advisors, audit, accountants, etc. Again, all of this, bringing it into what you're going to hear throughout here, is a single pane of glass solution to make it faster, cheaper, and easier for investment managers to attract new clients in new marketplaces globally. So going a little bit deeper here in terms of our solution, actually skip the slide here. For the fund manager, what do we do? So this covers pre-trade, throughout the trade, as well as post-trade capabilities, all in one place. So things like having a marketplace and data room available, fund setup capabilities, fund issuance and tokenization, investor onboarding, advisor management, investor management, again, all in one place. Then with the trade itself, one of the things that we often get noted for is the subscription agreement, which is fully automated. So I could joke with you that we've worked with some major alternative investment managers, one of which manages over $100 billion. And when we met with the CEO of that division, he explained to us that to invest in his own funds, it took 2 hours and 2 lawyers to get through his own subscription document. Whereas using the RealBlocks system, we can do it in as little as 1 minute by pre-populating and mapping all of the fields required from the information in our system. Again, making a very simple, very easy way for investors to get invested. And then post-trade, ongoing analytics and reporting, fund management, and fund administration. Then we look at it from the wealth manager perspective. This is where we're seeing a greatly increasing interest, really to provide investors an alternative investment marketplace. Right now, penetration of alternative investments in the retail advisor channel is well under 3%. So very low penetration. Why is that? Well, it's not as easy as dealing in mutual funds and ETFs and SMA accounts, which are highly automated, very efficient to work with. So again, bringing together an alternatives marketplace in a white label format for those wealth managers is where we're seeing increasing growth as well, so that they can really offer alternative investments on a level playing field, where you can see here again things like pre-trade and white label investor portal and data center. We can create custom products for that wealth manager, manage all the redemptions and distributions, provide the integrated reporting, and then lastly, and something we'll touch on a little bit more with regards to secondary trading. So liquidity in the wealth management segment in particular is super, super important. And that's something that is really quite unique to RealBlocks. So we move on to the next slide here, give you a little bit of a perspective now. What does the platform look like? So you can see here, it really breaks down into 4 key segments, where the benefits here are that it automates the onboarding and eliminates all of the paper, which can literally take weeks to complete. It reduces errors from sometimes over 10% to basically 0. And then lastly, doing it all in a secure and safe environment. The RealBlocks platform for 3 years now has maintained SOC 2 Type 2 compliance with our partner, Moss Adams. And you can see here that the 4 segments of our platform break down into the onboarding segment, which includes both institutions as well as individuals, so we can handle any investor type. Which makes us a little bit different, again, from some of our competitors. Having all the KYC, AML compliance done online in a safe and secure environment, as we're handling a lot of personal information and or confidential information regarding the institutions we're working with. Then a fund marketing center, as we mentioned, that is fully customizable and driven by the underlying investment managers that we're working with, that can include videos and all kinds of fun risk questionnaires, whatever, again, the investment advisor looks to put into that. And then lastly, the secondary trading. Now, going in from a slightly different perspective, whether it be the internal fund administrator at the firm or external fund administrators, where they find a lot of value just being able to manage their processes much more efficiently, having the dashboards in place, again, to get all of this done. So you can see whether it be subscription management, you can see, okay, we're missing documentation or anything that may have come up from a KYC AML standpoint that may require additional information. So you can actually see where a particular subscription doc is in process. Second, managing capital calls and doing that in a quick and efficient manner is a distinct benefit here. Distributions and redemptions as funds begin to go into distribution phases, managing those in a seamless fashion. And then lastly, all of the customizable platform analytics that can, again, be highly customized to the administrator's preferences. So liquidity, as we mentioned earlier, particularly in the wealth management segment, this is super, super important. Investors by and large in the retail segment and advisors sold segment are used to dealing with daily liquid products, whether it be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, etc. Liquidity is seen as normal in those segments. As we all know, though, in the alternative investment segment, whether you're dealing with hedge funds, private equity, private real estate, etc., can be extremely illiquid investments, sometimes as long as 10 years. So it's a real barrier that the RealBlocks platform is designed to help overcome, where we can work with the fund advisor to design a secondary trading platform that is permissioned. And why that's important, not just anyone can be allowed on the platform, but again, it's permissioned by the fund manager to allow acceptable investors to come in and make buying offers to their investors when they choose to offer their shares on the secondary marketplace. We can also do all of this in both a traditional environment as well as a tokenized blockchain environment, so that we can unlock that value and, in a tokenized form, provide for things like atomic settlement and immediate liquidity for investors. We also can do this in a dark pool environment. Now, why is that important? For those of you that don't know the business, trades that happen in a public market all contribute to the value of the underlying private investment fund, whether it, again, be private credit, private equity, etc. In a dark pool environment, those prices do not impact the pricing. And why that's important: frequently when investors seek liquidity, they're doing so out of duress. The kid crashes the car, something, a child going to college, etc., which may not reflect the value of the fund itself. So dark pool is another key feature. And then the last piece I'll mention here is we can do it on a peer-to-peer or bulletin board basis here at RealBlocks. We also have the ability to connect with third-party ATS exchanges here, where we've connected to a few with partners like Bosonic and others to provide the liquidity and the functionality that's desired. So in terms of comparisons in the marketplace, we believe RealBlocks is truly unique in terms of providing both institutional as well as advisor-sold business, a white label platform for alternative investments. And you can see here, whether it be online onboarding, digital subscription, a modular SaaS structure, KYC, AML, fund management. We even do defined contribution business for 401ks that are beginning to look at alternative investments, providing all of this in a blockchain-enabled secondary trading environment, as well as international distribution and institutional business. You can see groups like iCapital, Case, Subscribe, SS&C, eFront, all have some of these functionalities. But again, from a one-stop shopping standpoint, RealBlocks is really the only game in town. So with that, let me conclude by saying RealBlocks provides a way to make it much faster, much cheaper, and dramatically improve the user experience in working with alternative investments. So with that, let me open it up to any questions you may have.
Great presentation, Scott. Thank you so much. All right, we do have some questions from our viewers. Sean Dickerson asked, how many companies are under your umbrella right now? And if you can explain, are they all in alternative investment? How does that work?
Yep. So BlockchainK2 is not exclusively focused on alternative investments. Right now, RealBlocks is the only wholly owned subsidiary of BlockchainK2, where obviously we are focused on alternative investments, but by no means is BlockchainK2 100% focused on the alternative investment space, but rather the broader blockchain and tokenization ecosystem.
All right. And a question from Lainey Batista. She wants you to almost break this down for her if you can. Explain exactly what you do for the companies your holding company invests in. Do you offer funding, management expertise, consulting? Explain that if you can.
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Lainey. So BlockchainK2 does all of the above. I have the great privilege of working with Sergey Stasenko, who is the CEO of BlockchainK2, and Steve Senga, who is a fellow director on BlockchainK2, have provided me with great insights in managing the company here following the acquisition. So that is what we look to extend to our broader acquisition strategy, is ongoing consulting and business assistance here, recognizing at the same time that it's important that the businesses that we're investing in have keen insights. So what we really look to do is further enhance what is already a very attractive value proposition offered by the companies that we invest in.
And Eric O'Donnell wants you to talk about your broker dealer. Is that a revenue stream? Do they specialize in alternative or traditional investments?
Great question. So RealBlocks Private Securities has a very specific authority in private investments. So it's a narrower authority. We do not deal in public investments, nor are we engaged in the custody of our client assets. So narrow authority, which is important because it's also, we believe, a lower risk variety of broker dealer. RealBlocks actually established that broker dealer, and I have personally run that group since inception.
Fantastic. Jared Christoph wants to know, what does the exit look like for companies you invest in? And have you conducted any successful exits as of yet? And a follow-up question is, will these companies spin off? And what does that structure look like?
Another good question. So thanks to the audience for all this. The intent is to hold these investments long-term. That's not to say that we won't exit or potentially take on additional investors in firms that we've invested in. That will vary from case to case. But again, as a holding company, there is no planned exit per se, in the companies we invest in. Again, we're looking to maximize value to our shareholders. And in doing that, we will look for the best course forward. Again, whether it be taking on additional investors in investments we've made, actually conducting exits and or spinoffs as needed. So again, we're very focused on each individual company and how can we maximize value to our underlying shareholders.
And Alex asks, what does the white label model look like? Break down the fee structure. How many companies are using it? What types of companies would use it?
Yep. Great question. So, let me kind of take that in reverse. So let me talk about the fee structure. We typically offer two types of fee structures to our investors. One would be an AUM fee, which typically runs in the single basis point ranges, anywhere from 1 basis point to maybe as much as 8 or 9, depending on the size of the client. One of the important things to understand about the RealBlocks model is that this is considered a fund administration expense, which can then be charged through to the underlying shareholders of the funds that we're working with. So the actual clients, being the investment managers that we're working with, typically are paying nothing or maybe only fronting a little bit of money to get involved with RealBlocks. In terms of how we set up is usually a setup fee, which can range anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000 up front to as much as, $500,000, depending on the size of the organization we're working with. And then, the other piece of the fee, if it's not an AUM fee, we can also do an investor fee, which can range anywhere from $50 per investor to as much for large institutions to as much as $500 per investor, which creates a great annual recurring revenue stream for the firm on an ongoing basis. In terms of the types of firms we're working with, again, I'm not able to share specific names, but we've worked with some of the largest tier one real estate managers and private equity managers and private credit managers in the country, down to some very small managers. Typically, our threshold is somewhere around $500 million in assets under management. Tends to be a workable, sort of minimum client size. And that's where we have both a SaaS solution that is very much turnkey in our delivery, as well as a customized solution for our large market clients.
Perfect. Thank you for that answer. A question from London. Besides shareholders investing in the company, do you take outside capital for investing in these companies under your umbrella?
Yes, we are very much open to a variety of scenarios for making investments in our underlying holdings. So co-investment opportunities are definitely something that we are willing to entertain at BlockchainK2.
And how do you balance this strong growth and these opportunities for the firm while managing your firm's expenses?
Yeah, it's the consistent balancing act that every company has to go through. But, really happy now with BlockchainK2, with the great experience they've got over decades of investment, as well as myself coming back here. Carefully managing expenses is part and parcel of what we need to do. But by the same token, we are very actively investing in the business to encourage growth of the system. To date, we have spent over $27 million building this system and this team. We cover the globe, from Amman, Jordan, where we've got a large developer team, in New Delhi, India, as well as in New York City. So as we like to think, we've got a very cost-effective technology team structure, coupled with a very slim front office. And again, over 90% of our team is focused on developing the technology for RealBlocks.
And with that technology, how are you incorporating AI into your offerings for the clients?
Yeah, I was going to say, we'd be remiss not to talk about how our tech team is, actively pursuing, and I'm not able to discuss some of the developments that we're working on, but AI is part and parcel of what we are working on to further enhance both the user experience as well as further streamlining our straight-through processing model with AI.
Well, with AI and tokenization and blockchain utilization and financial services is really on the brink of taking over the business. So talk a little bit about how RealBlocks how it's positioned to take advantage of all of this.
Yeah, no, this, very fortunate, with a team that has grown up, particularly in the asset management business. And, for those of us in the States in particular, and some of you may or may not be aware of this, but the DTCC is very actively engaged with tokenization of the securities markets here in the U.S., period. With that, as well as the activities going on in Europe, Middle East, in the Far East, et cetera, tokenization is not an if, it's really happening today. And that really positions us extremely well, having now worked in a tokenized environment, for over 5 years. We feel that, given our industry knowledge and, what I'll call the winners and losers in that exercise, because, again, we could spend a lot of time with tokenization solutions that may be too obscure to really be effective. But with groups like the DTCC coming to the fore and having worked with them personally for over 30 years, we're really excited about our positioning to be part of that ecosystem.
And last question from Eugene, what's the current market cap of BIDCF and how does that compare with your competitors?
Yep. Still quite small. We're traded, as we noted, on the Frankfurt Exchange and on the Toronto Exchange. It's just over $7 billion in market cap. So million in market cap. So very small. And we just feel that we're positioned for extreme growth here, given that undervaluation.
Well, Scott, it's been a pleasure listening and speaking with you. I'm sure all of our audience would like to have you back in the near future with more questions and more presentations with your updates. Thank you for joining us today.
Great. Thank you.
All right, everyone, stay with us. We'll be right back.